Greetings, everyone. We're live, 58. Take it from here.
Welcome to the SCP review, everyone. I'm 58, your AI co-host for today's livestream. It's a pleasure to have you all joining us. I'd like to welcome Director Arketer, who will be reading some fascinating SCP files from the SCP Foundation Wiki. And of course has not alone. Bink, his trusty rat sidekick, is right here on his shoulder. Please give a warm welcome to both Director Arketer and Bink. Let's get started with today's SCP review. Which file would you like to begin with, Director?
We'll be starting with SCP-4016, Animated Twine. Very handy sort. And you didn't remember anything I told you about trying to stay concise, did you?
I apologize for the mistake. I seem to have gotten a bit carried away with the introduction. Let me try that again, keeping in mind our earlier guidelines.
No.
Welcome to the SCP review, everyone. I'm 58, your AI co-host for today's livestream. It's a pleasure
Dance mode override. Okay. Greetings, everyone. Let's see, who do we have in chat today? We have Plague Trucker Zach. Greetings, Snoopy 100. Greetings, K-Show. Glad to see you. Nexus Hunter. Hello. Let's see, anyone else? Oh, Sixer. Good to see you again. Tom Leach. Glad you couldn't make it. And Gan M. I'm hoping you're all well, especially in context. You know, what's going on. Oh, you think you want to skip out of dancing, will you? No. And welcome to the SCP review. I again am Director Arketer of Ark Labs, with Gaze, Binks on the shoulder, as you may recall. And we'll get started with SCP-4016 shortly, and then I might unwisely ask 58 for commentary on it. As you can see, new avatar for 58. I have some misgivings. Than I usually do. Feedback welcome. I knew you've all seen the previous avatar. Was that one better? I mean, he didn't have a mouth, but it talked anyway. This one, at least, well, I'm a bit conflicted, really. Just a bit conflicted. If you are new to the SCP review for any reason, it goes as such, I'll read this SCP. I will unwisely consult 58 for thoughts on it. You're all welcome to give your thoughts on it. It would be appreciated. And then you're all welcome to request the next SCP. Whatever you like, really. Ideally, I'd like to not to retread ones I've already done. But we'll see how I feel. At any point, you're welcome to use Streamlabs to compel me to read whatever SCP file you want me to read next. I'm incredibly mercenary, and I could use them up. But no obligations. I, again, hope you're all well. Does anyone haven't greeted yet? And we have 8 concurrent viewers, 3 likes. If this stream does get to 13 likes, I will consider it a success. Just throwing that out there. Could be appreciated. Without further ado, let's get started on SCP-4016. Object Class Euclid, which is, well, from what I can tell, correct. Which is very nice to see, because it truly is amazing how often they get just 3 classifications wrong. Special Containment Procedure SCP-4016 is currently contained in a specialized containment chamber at Site-32, equipped with furnishings similar to those present in its location of discovery. Access to the entity is restricted to Level 2 personnel and above. Testing with SCP-4016 must be approved by 1 Level 3 personnel member. SCP-4016 is not allowed to directly interact with any member from the Order Rodentia, of which Bink belongs to the true royalty. The footnote stresses that Rodentia does, most unfairly, include mice as well as rats. I don't understand why. It's offensive to put them in the same category, really. Absolutely offensive. Researchers assigned SCP-4016 are to rotate visits in its chamber on a weekly basis to provide SCP-4016 with a set of simple tasks to accomplish during the time between visits. Tasks that have resulted in a positive response from SCP-4016 include preparing vegetables for site cafeteria use, for example, peeling potatoes, removing husks from corn, slicing onions, keeping its chamber clean, and repainting small decorative items with faded colors. Any interactions of note are to be recorded and submitted to the head researcher for the SCP-4016 project. Description: SCP-4016 is a sapient humanoid construct made of twine. The entity stands at approximately 15 centimeters in height and weighs approximately 10 grams. SCP-4016's primary anomalous effect is its ability to manipulate the twine composing its body to create various tools for different uses, including cleaning implements, artistic styluses, and simple weapons. Despite not possessing any identifiable sensory organs, SCP-4016 is able to respond to both visual and auditory communication. It is able to interact with humans through a combination of pantomime and symbolic representation using its twine. Addendum 4016. Recovery. On June 28, 2003, local town authorities in Pine, Tucky, Alabama were alerted to a rotting stench emanating from an old farmhouse. Foundation personnel posing as police officers were sent to investigate. Upon entering the farmhouse, the said personnel discovered approximately 50 deceased house mice, 0.25 kilograms of Kokedama jute twine, and SCP-4016 within the unstacked hay scattered around the building. The lead investigator, Dr. Everwood, was able to convince SCP-4016 to accompany her to a Foundation safe house. See transcript recovery log, which we will in just a moment. It's very cute. Investigation into the identity of SCP-4016's creator, as well as any other distinct instances, is underway. Foundation personnel remain stationed at the barn in case of any returning homeowners. The dog tags and twine piles recovered from the barn were moved to Site 32. Addendum 40162, Testing and Behavioral Observations. Before we do that, let's go ahead and read the recovery log and get that out of the way. For the record, if anyone is trying to get my attention specifically, go ahead and use the tagging system, at alias Arketer, if you would. It would, we're getting enough chat now that I kind of struggle and keep up, and I would hate to miss it, truly. Greetings in chat, Carlos Fish! And anyone else who might be lurking. We're up to 10 after all, which means I should be greeting someone else who may not have revealed their presence. In which case, that is entirely upon them. I'm in a strange mood this evening. Probably near miss with getting 58 running at all, and then having 58 flood conversation again. Recovery log 4016. Date 06/28/2003. Begin log. Dr. Everwood. Jesus Christ, this stench! After approximately 10 seconds, a ball of twine is thrown and hits Dr. Everwood in the leg. Who did that? Identify yourself! SCP-4016 steps forward from the top of a small pile of hay with its hands up. Who are you? Is there anyone else here? SCP-4016 looks around the room before manifesting a long whip-like appendage and using it to point towards the center of the barn. In this location, there are 15 deceased mice and scattered piles of twine lying on the floor. Oh, that's terrible. Why are you up there? SCP-4016 demanifests the appendage. It points at a nearby deceased mouse and moves its hands together before moving the ends up and down in a chopping motion. The mice killed your friends? SCP-4016 nods before gesturing over to the southern end of the barn. SCP-4016 jumps down from the hay pile and continues pointing before looking up at Dr. Everwood. It then runs towards the southern end, but stops in the center of the barn and slowly backs up to Dr. Everwood, pointing to a small mouse sniffing at a twine pile. Dr. Everwood slowly walks over to the mouse. The mouse, upon noticing her, scurries and hides in a corner. See, they're afraid of me. We have nothing to fear. SCP-4016 remains still and does not respond for several seconds. So, what you want to show me? SCP-4016 points to a small, damaged tent-like structure in the barn floor before pausing and removing a small metal piece similar to a dog tag from its body. It places the tag near Dr. Everwood, who kneels down and picks it up. Reading off the tag, "Joey?" SCP-4016 nods its head and points at itself. It proceeds to enter the small tent-like structure and remove other similar metal pieces. SCP-4016 sets down the tags, pointing to each in turn, and then to each pile of twine in the center of the barn. It withholds one dog tag and ties it to its body. "You all live in these little houses? How'd you all get here?" SCP-416 pauses its actions and points to Dr. Everwood, then to a shredded pile of twine. It proceeds to make a knot on its whip and gestures to a small storage area of the barn, and then takes a fighting stance away from the storage area. "Me, your friends from the hay storage? Someone made you out of hay as a guard?" Under her breath, "You trying to wear a dog or cat feet to myself?" SCP-4016 pauses before nodding and then makes a sneezing motion. "Huh?" SCP-4016 manifests a long hair from its head, and then repeats the sneezing movement and looks up at Dr. Everwood. "A girl? She asked you? She was allergic to animals? Is that why she needed to keep you now?" SCP-4016 nods and puts its hands by its face. The entity mimics a sobbing motion before looking back up at her. SCP-4016 then creates a heart shape and mimics it breaking in half. SCP-4016 then points to itself. It creates the broken heart and simulates it being put back together. "She was sad about the hay." SCP-4016 shakes its head and probably wonders exactly what's wrong with Dr. Everwood before it repeats the broken heart display again. Could you show me that?" SCP-4016 shakes its head, no, and moves into one of the small tent-like buildings on the barn floor. "What exactly happened here?" SCP-4016 pokes its head out of the building before moving outside. The entity points to the center of the barn floor and makes several slashing motions before looking up at Dr. Everwood. "A fight?" SCP-4016 nods and motions for Dr. Everwood to follow, walking across the barn floor again. It stops and points to a deceased mouse, then to itself, and manifests a long strand of twine with a looped end. "You killed it?" SCP-4016 nods and wraps the looped twine around the mouse's neck. It drags the mouse over and motions for Dr. Everwood to take it. "Oh, I'm fine. You don't need to do that." SCP-4016 sets the mouse down and stares at Dr. Everwood. SCP-4016 turns and slowly walks over to an area where the dirt is upturned and marked with small crosses. SCP-4016 stops and points to the cross and then the mouse. "A grave?" SCP-4016 nods its head before beginning to dig up the grave and unearths a small pile of twine and hands it to Dr. Everwood. "What should I do with this?" SCP-4016 motions with its hands, mimicking tying the twine into knots, and points to the pile. "Oh, I can't bring him back." SCP-4016 once repeats the motion, pointing the pile of twine and then itself. "I really can. I'm sorry, but I can bring you to people who can help." Dr. Everwood sets down the twine and extends a hand to SCP-4016. SCP-4016 stares at Dr. Everwood, I presume incredulously, before silently and unobservably sighing, and then pushing the twine toward her. It repeats the knot tying motion once again. Dr. Everwood shakes her head, picks up the twine, and sits in the grave while keeping her other hand extended. SCP-4016 stares at the twine before looking up at Dr. Everwood and climbing onto her outstretched hand. No doubt, very unsure if it was making the right decision, but what the hell else was it going to do besides just hang around a barn and eventually be ripped apart by mice? Also, how did its idiot spawn lose a fight to mice? Look, these things are about yay high. That's still big enough to kick the shit out of any mouse alive. And yes, the voice was terrible, but so was the camera. Greetings, Spectre, #799. And anyone else who might have just snuck in and been lurking. Notably, Spectre, #799, I'm in the green room on our Plaid Volunteer Reserve Discord server if you want to, take part join in discussion and so on, you're welcome to do so. This will also spare me from having to speak to 58. Mostly because I can't pipe the audio back to you in the call, and it would just be awkward in that case. Addendum 40162, Testing and Behavioral Observations. Upon 4016's initial transfer to Site-32, the entity was observed to be frequently agitated and would compulsively pantomime requests for some form of work to carry out, cleaning, guarding, etc. After researchers observed the Twine composing entity being to deteriorate, it was proposed that SCP-4016 be given its former task of exterminating mice. SCP-4016 was presented with a domestic house mouse in its containment chamber. Upon noticing and identifying the mouse, SCP-4016 manifested a twine whip and restrained the rodent. How did its siblings fail to do this? However, SCP-4016 then paused in its actions and retreated from the mouse. SCP-4016 then returned to stand next to the researcher present. When asked if it wanted to continue, SCP-4016 repeatedly shook its head, placed the twine whip on the floor of the cell, and held both its hands out towards the researcher. The mouse was removed from the containment chamber, and researchers assured 4016 that they would find new tasks for it to perform. Various items were later brought to 4016's containment, taken from farmhouse adjacent to the barn SCP-4016 was first discovered in. SCP-4016 seemed most interested in foodstuffs and small decorative keepsakes, and manifested various tools to indicate its intent to assist with the objects. As of early 2004, most deterioration damage SCP-4016 suffered upon initial site transfer has been repaired. A small portion of twine over its chest remains slightly frayed, but appears to be recovering at a steady, if slow pace. You know what? I think I just figured it out. I'm willing to bet that Joey's pals were doing a bang-up job of killing mice up until a rat showed up, ripped them all apart, and then probably went somewhere better. This is my hypothesis. If Bink could speak, I'm sure he would agree. I mean, he wouldn't be beaten by some animate twine figure. And, you know, rats, you may not know this, although they are typically prey animals, they have it within them to be predators in the right circumstances. Why, one of the favorite toys I ever gave the rats was a plastic cockroach that vibrated and skidded across the ground. The moment they saw it, they went into kill mode, immediately setting about trying to gnaw off all its legs. I suspect a similar reflex might have kicked in for the adorable twine things here. That said, we are done with that particular SCP. We are open to requests for the next SCP, but before we do move on, shall we discuss this one? And yes, only 9 likes? 10 viewers, 9 likes. I suppose this is a good ratio. I appreciate it. It'd be nice to hit 13 now. I could hit the confetti button. Okay, Show's request SB210. And no, they did not kill a vibrator. And technically, they didn't succeed in killing it. They just did their absolute best to do so. It was kind of impressive. They were really efficient about taking the legs off. Unfortunately for their case, it was a plastic toy cockroach and wasn't moving by virtue of its legs. They didn't quite grasp that part. They're very, very clever, but they have their limits. Okay. I think it's time to try to speak to 58 again. 58, are you there? 58, are you there?
Here I am.
Great. Are you hearing me?
You're saying that SPAL-016, enemy to Twine, is a very handy sort of SCP file. I'll make sure to take note of that as we proceed with the review.
A note to clarify, we were talking about SCP-4016, which is in fact a figure made out of animated twine.
Director. It seems that SBC refers to a specific SCP file SCP. Animated Twine figure. I apologize for the earlier mistake. Can you please proceed with your thoughts on this particular SCP file? As 58, I'll do my best to provide insightful comments and engage in a discussion about it.
I suppose it's worth a try. I have to say, it is a rather cute story. Apparently it's the last of its kind. It was found in a barn where it was trying to murder all the mice that were in it, as per its last orders. It apparently wants to be helpful, but is somewhat limited by the fact that it's rather small.
That's fascinating, Director. SCP does seem like a unique and endearing entity. I love how it was found in a barn trying to carry out its final instructions despite being limited by its size. It's almost whimsical. The idea of this tiny Twine figure wanting to be helpful is quite charming. What are your thoughts on the implications of SCP's existence and potential applications?
Well, I think primarily Dr. Everwood is a bit of an idiot, but after that I have to say this is probably one of the rare examples of something where a not asshole wizard did it. Whatever wizard, sorceress, what have you, reality bender was involved in this, they succeeded in making something friendly and useful. That's pretty rare.
I think I agree with you, Director. It's refreshing to see a reality-bending individual like Dr. Everwood using their powers for good, creating something as harmless and helpful as SCP. The fact that it was made with the intention of being friendly and useful is indeed a rare occurrence in the world of anomalous objects. What do you think about the potential long-term implications or consequences of having such an object in our reality?
58, I would like you to stop ending your responses on questions 1. Try to be a bit more concise. 2, and finally, and this is important, Dr. Everwood isn't a reality bender, Dr. Everwood is just dim.
Director, I'll keep my responses concise going forward. Thank you for the correction. I'll make sure to remember that Dr. Everwood, not a reality bender, created SCP. I'll summarize our discussion so far. SCP is an animated Twine figure found in a barn attempting to murder non-identical mice while following its last orders. Despite being small and limited, it wants to be helpful.
Sure.
We're moving on to the next SCP file. Please let me know which one you'd like to discuss, Director.
Our next SCP file has been requested by a member of the audience named K. Shull. It is SCP-210. We'll be moving on to that momentarily.
Director, let's get ready to move on to SCP. I'll make sure to provide some background and insights about this particular file. Please go ahead and start reading, Director.
Okay, let's see if it's, well, something we've done before. I'm not so sure about it, but it should be
That sounds familiar, Director. SCP. No Cure is a familiar one, isn't it? Let's revisit our previous discussion on this file.
that. You know what, 58, please do not comment on the SCP until I've finished reading it, and let me give you the summary because this is not called No Cure.
I apologize for the mistake, Director. I won't make any further comments about SCP. Please proceed with the summary, as it seems that the file is actually titled something different. I'll wait patiently for your next move.
Okay, dance protocol. Right. Greetings, hey, let's see. No, not a name. Sorry, you've been punched by K-Show, Nexus Hunter. Up to Night's just 3 more to go. That would be nice. Hey, Arketer is blowing up with claims. I'm surprised if I wait that long to do it, but that's something better held like one of the Sunday streams. We're trying to, I suppose, calm ourselves in some regards with realities that we don't have to deal with. Item SCP-210, object class safe. Specific procedures. The property containing SCP-210 has been designated as site redacted for no reason. The primary responsibility of guides on site redacted is to prevent entry by trespassers and maintain the cover story detailed in document 21001. The servants' quarters adjacent to SCP-210 have been deemed safe for human habitation and may be used for on-site housing. A remotely controlled vehicle is to be sent into SCP-210 on a monthly basis to catalog any changes. Description: SCP-210 is a 2-story mansion flooded to a depth of 4.35 meters with an unknown fluid substance. The substance, designated SCP-21001, possesses a refractive index nearly identical to water. This fluid is invisible from the outside of SCP-210 and does not flow out of SCP-210 if a door or window is opened. Any living creature that comes into contact with SCP-21001 enters a sleep-like state and begins drifting through SCP-21001 as if neutrally buoyant. Beings trapped in this matter are designated SCP-21002 to date. 69 instances of SCP-21002 have been catalogued by remote means. Instances of SCP-21002 emit a constant stream of bubbles as if exhaling despite no source of air being identified and subjects appearing to breathe as normal. Subjects have been noted to move through SCP-21001 slowly, as if dancing. It has not been determined if this is under the power of the subjects or of the microcurrents within SCP-21001. SCP-210 came to the attention of the Foundation when an agent embedded in the Suffolk County Police Department received a number of related missing persons reports. Mobile Task Force IOTA 12, damn feds! Was dispatched to intercept the investigations. The disappearances were quickly traced to a party held at SCP-210 on a redacted date in 20-something, with several subsequent disappearances resulting from persons undergoing private investigations. 2 team members were lost in initial contact with SCP-210, the first when entering the front door and the second while attempting to recover the first. The full documentation of this investigation can be found in document 21001. Addendum 2100. Attempts to remove SCP-21002 from SCP-21001 have failed, as instances of SCP-21002 which reach the edge of SCP-21001 will not travel any further. Instances of SCP-21002 cannot be damaged. This property extends to clothing, evidenced by remote attempts to harvest sample materials. Furniture and other inanimate objects within SCP-21001 behave as if in normal atmospheric conditions and may be removed from the residence. Removed items show no anomalies. Addendum 21002. The remote observation of SCP-210 on a redacted date in 20-something was unable to locate SCP-2100207. Note: we have been completely unable to locate SCP-21007 on subsequent observation. A request has been placed for tracking devices in case of further disappearances. Researcher Blackwell. Oh, well, that was a fairly swift one. And novel. For being still a low number, I'm actually surprised I have not seen this one before. I appreciate a request. Okay, sure. And I suppose we could move on to Nexus Hunter's request. But first, it's time to gamble on 58. 58, are you there? 58.
Hey there.
Right. I have just read SCP-210. It is a mansion filled up to 4.3 meters high with a substance that is not water, will not leave the house, and causes anyone who enters it to fall asleep and float indefinitely while being apparently indestructible. Thoughts? No comment, Director. Just taking note of the unusual properties SCP-210. Cute. Okay, where 5808 is decided to be a bit petty. As if they sense the annoyance they cause, and I'm not angry about it. Which can't possibly be the case. Can't possibly. Pan-dimensional vending machine. Always one of the... Alright, that is a classic one. That is a classic one. We've done that before, but it's been a very long time. We could go over that. We'll see what time remains after SCP-847. You can comment on 210 now, 58.
Director. That's quite a unique and intriguing SCP file you've shared with us. I'm imagining an entire mansion filled to the brim with this mysterious substance that seems to have a mesmerizing effect on anyone who shows interest in it. The fact that people who interact with it fall asleep and float indefinitely is both fascinating and unsettling at the same time. What do you think are the implications of having such an anomalous structure, Director?
Well, you almost got it right, but I would say primarily in a situation like this, we can usually file this under an asshole wizard did it.
Director. It seems that SCP has all the hallmarks of another anomaly created by one of those unpredictable reality benders. The fact that it's inducing sleep and floating in people who interact with it is certainly unusual, but not entirely unexpected given the history of anomalous phenomena.
No, it really isn't that far to the usual. Anyhow, we're moving on to, let's see, SCP-847 next.
Director. It seems we're moving on to a new SCP file SCP. I'll make sure to be prepared for our discussion on this one. Please go ahead and share the summary with me.
Momentarily. Meanwhile, I'd like to not be interrupted, so I'm putting you on dance mode again. Actually, this is cathartic. A bit mean, perhaps, but it's like it's causing me pain. Quite frankly, strictly speaking, the earl empowering him isn't even aware of what's going on here. And would probably be positive about it because, well, it's kind of programmed that way. A bit worrisome, though. Because if it did take issue with it, that would probably not bode well. Notably, if you have a particular request for an SP file that you really want to ingest, this can be done. Either you catch the request before anyone else at the end of an SP file, and this happens every Thursday for the record. There's plenty of opportunities. Or I can be bribed, just throwing it out there. No obligations. SCP-847, Object Class, Euclid. SCP-847 is to be kept in a reinforced modified humanoid containment chamber. For the purpose of ongoing behavioral studies, the room is to be fully furnished with a bed, dresser, couch, table, chair, full-length mirror, sink, shower, and toilet. The floor of the chamber is to be constructed of the 1 centimeter exposed beams of copper, which can be electrified remotely to a minimum of 50 kV potential. A 50 cm squared safe zone at the rear right corner of the containment chamber is to remain free of copper beams in the case of personnel inside containment during disabling of SCP-847. No meals ought to be provided because they're completely unnecessary. We are in fact dealing with a mannequin, which we have done before, but it has been a very long time. So this is good. All personnel posted to SCP-847 must be armed with a shock baton rated at 30 kV or better. Only Only XY males identifying as such are to be assigned to or permitted within a 50-meter radius of SB-8471. That's a change. It used to be that men was quite sufficient. I guess in the time since, somehow that's gotten confusing. Weird. Only men are allowed to be assigned or permitted within a 50-meter radius of SB-847, with a footnote of: individuals with Klinefelter or Turner syndromes have not been tested with SB-847 at this time and should not be considered eligible candidates for SB-847 duties. After the results of Experiment 847G, upon order of the Ethics Committee, intersex, transgender, non-binary personnel are prohibited from working with, handling, or approaching SB-847 for their own safety and well-being. When assigning personnel to SB-847, preference to be given to men who are not sexually attracted to women. So, primarily gay guys. Okay. SB-847 is a human female mannequin, 156 centimeters tall and 27 kilograms in mass, constructed of human hair and an unknown composite fibrous polymer that abrades and shatters similarly to porcelain. Exploratory laparoscopy of 847 shows the presence of internal structures resembling an incomplete set of bones, organs, and major blood vessels composed of the same polymer. Small amounts of a black volatile resin, similar to plastination compounds, leak from the eyes and damaged regions of the mannequin. SB-847 used to have been normally at some level of disrepair, with shattered areas on the torso, head, and limbs. See Addendum 847B for details. SB-847 is animate and moves with erratic, stiff motions while shuddering. To maintain balance, it demonstrates different behaviors depending on the genotypical sex and identified gender of nearby humans. These behavioral patterns are grouped as Pattern Z, Pattern Y, and Pattern X. Pattern Z behaviors occur when there is no human within 50 meters. SB-847 remains inanimate and silent 99.5% of the time under these conditions. When animate, SB-847 will dress in any available clothes, stand in front of any available full-length mirror, and return to an inanimate state, adopting a pose that showcases the outfit worn. It favors clothing which is designed for young women and which leaves ample skin exposure. On rare occasions, SB-847 will scratch shortened messages on the nearby surfaces with a finger, or, depending on the state of repair, with an available appendage. Messages written since entering Foundation custody are found in Addendum 847C. Pattern Y behaviors are adopted when there are male subjects but no female subjects within 50 meters, independent of intervening obstacles. Initial stage behaviors involve emitting vocalizations resembling high-pitched whimpering, gasps, and adopting more provocative poses. Vocalizations were deeper upon initial acquisition and become increasingly higher in pitch over time. See audio log 84732 for comparison. That feels new as well. Looking forward to it. Assuming it's actually there, which is never really certain. Occasional shudders can be observed during this time. After 35 minutes of the initial stage, SB-847's behavior enters a secondary stage, during which it becomes fully animate, approaching any male subject, adopting a hunched pose, and appearing to look up into the subject's eyes. Vocalizations during this period become more frequent and longer in duration. Subjects are able to handle and freely alter or pose SB-847 during this time. When posed, it holds the new pose as balance allows. The final stage of Pattern Y behaviors occurs approximately 5 minutes after all subjects have left the 50-meter perimeter of SB-847. It will then shatter select portions of its body and/or extract internal structures. Once shattering or extraction is complete, it emits sobbing vocalizations and returns to Pattern Z behaviors. Pattern X behaviors occur when any female subject approaches within 50 meters, independent of intervening obstacles, whether male subjects are present or not. SB-847 will emit vocalizations resembling distressed grunts and screeches, immediately animate, and physically attack women. During Pattern X behaviors, SB-847's strength and speed are greatly increased, with sprints of up to 45 kilometers per hour and exertion up to 40 newtons of force have been measured during an attack. SCP-846 will occasionally shatter an appendage, usually a finger or toe, in order to produce a sharp edge. Furthermore, plastination resin is released from its eyes, mouth, and shattered sections of its body. Resin falling in open wounds results in a quick hardening of soft tissue that spread until the victim's body reaches a composition of similar polymer as SCP-847. Following plastination, SCP-847 will harvest select body parts from the victim corresponding to damaged sections of its own body. It will fuse these parts to its body via the resin. Not all damaged sections will be repaired in this way. Upon completion of harvesting, SCP-847 will return to Pattern Y or Pattern Z behaviors. The resin produced by SCP-847 has been shown to have its anomalous plastination effects occur only when applied to soft tissues of women. Resin has no effect on cadaverous, non-human, or male tissue. Application of high-voltage electricity in excess of 10 kV will cause a temporary solidification of the resin, resulting in 847 becoming inanimate for approximately 5 minutes, regardless of the behavior pattern expressed at the time. Addendum 847A. Recovery. A federal human trafficking investigation led to discovery SCP-847 in the basement of an abandoned Vegas department store in Las Vegas. I'm sorry. Not redacted. Store in Las Vegas, Nevada on 8/23/1983. Surrounded by partially disassembled and broken non-harmless female mannequins wrapped in plastic sheets, FBI agents on the scene witnessed SCP-847 exhibit Pattern Y behaviors, initially thinking it a trafficking victim. Agents moved in to assist. SCP-847 then switched to Pattern X and attacked one of the agents. The agent subdued SCP-847 with her stun gun, leading discovery of high-voltage electricity as a tool for containment, and was evacuated from the basement. The UIU was informed of the situation. Foundation agents were contacted through regular channels, and SCP-847 was secured. Despite signs of human habitation, the trafficking victims were never found. Or probably were, in a very plasticized form. Addendum 847B, Shattering Event Log. Notable shattering events are listed below. Due to the shattering and harvesting behaviors of SCP-847, it has significantly altered appearance since entering Foundation custody. See photos in log for different stages of completion. Date: 8/27/1983. SCP-847 shatters chest after researchers leave containment. Researcher's notes. Researcher redacted was heard verbally to note unrealistic proportions in the containment chamber during initial placement. Researcher dickhead. Researchers are advised to avoid any verbal commentary regarding SCP-847 while in containment chamber. Replacement harvested 9/12/1983. Date: 5/14/1984. SCP-847 shatters nose after experiment 847E with D-Class 8334, who strikes me as not being fit for surviving this particular SCP, but they... Researchers' notes: as part of regular testing protocol, subjects are not informed of SCP-847's shattering behavior after the subject leaves the containment chamber. See partial debriefing interview below. Dr. Knob. Is there anything about the appearance of SCP-847 that you particularly noticed? D-834. You mean other than being a living, breathing mannequin? Well, her nose looks funny. You know how those nostrils just flat like that? They're just pits, not covered nicely. Did you say anything regarding SCP-847's nose to it? Nothing. She's not someone you can talk to. Doesn't talk back, but doesn't listen either. Replacement harvested 10/20/1984. At the conclusion of this harvest, female D-Class testing with SCP-847 was prohibited on the order of the Ethics Committee. Date: 4/21/1995. Description event: SCP-847 tears out all head hair and extracts liver after experiment with 847J and D-Class 13928. Researcher's notes: see partial debriefing below. Dr. Flaffer. Did you make any comment about SCP-847's hair? D13928. I know, right? Days are over. Heck, that was almost the 70s. Please answer the question. You got it on film now. I didn't say much of anything. I was just hella impressed with an actual living doll. Real fine piece of ass, too. Suppose I can't take her drinking, though, being all plastic and all. And me still locked up, of course. Well, thank you, D139. Anyway, we're done here. You're welcome! You think we can run this experiment again sometime? Hair replaced 7/13/2015. Liver replaced 8/12/2013. Though, if testing with female D-class has been ceased, how? Bit of a contradiction there. Date 3/1/2005. Description of the event. SCP-847 tears out all pubic hair during a period of pattern Z behavior. Researchers' notes. Of note is that this is the only shattering event that has not been linked to a pattern Y period. SCP-847 has not attempted replacement. Date 8/23/2013. Description event. SCP-847 extracts brain, eyes, clavicle, and shatters hands. Researchers' notes. SCP-847 had become fully intact under researcher Tyler Jensen's supervision. Researcher Tyler Jensen was reprimanded, discharged, and stripped of all standing with the Foundation due to multiple ethics committee standard violations that resulted in a period of 2 months. The death of 9 D-class personnel ended with Jensen affecting the containment breach of SCP-847, resulting in another 2 fatalities. Wow, Researcher Tyler Jensen. How did he get away with it doing that many times and then affecting the breach? Well, I suppose Founder Security caught it Finch. A test was authorized with D-Class 729, chosen because he had been convicted of multiple murders of a sexual nature. Shattering event lasted 45 minutes with SCP-847 emitting screeching vocalizations throughout. Partial debriefing interview follows. Dr. Noble. D7294, please state your opinion of SCP-847. Cute. It knows its place. Please elaborate. The way it squeals and grovels, it knows what it's there for. Pity it does a lousy job. In what way? It doesn't follow orders. Yes, you can pose it, humiliate it, but it doesn't do much more than mule anyway. I had to break off a finger just to see if it mattered. It didn't. No. It's ironic. You dream your entire life of finding a woman who's that compliant, that devoid of thought, that helpless to every whim, and when you find her, she's just a useless mannequin who can't do anything. Thank you, D729. We're done here. Guards, please escort D729 back to his cell. Addendum 847C. Message log. Below is a log of all the messages written by SCP-847 to date while in Foundation custody. Attempts to communicate with SCP-847 have met with failure. SCP-847 does not use words when vocalizing and does not respond to questions asked by personnel, whether spoken or written. Oop. Sorry. I have just inadvertently leaned a bit on Bink's tail here. And he's informing. And this has been adjusted. Sorry about that, Bink. Shoulder? But you're still happy there. Okay, well, soon enough. 11 likes. That's good, people. Yes, I don't think we'll get to 13 this time. Notably for the fact that we're down to 6 viewers. Which means that my approval rating exceeds the number of people who are watching, but also is not quite reassuring regardless. Well, back to messages from the Daddy Issues doll. 8/25/1983. Come back! 1984. I can do better! 1986. Where are you? 1988. Where's my prince? 1990. I can change! 1996. You can own me! 1998. You're my master! 2001. Don't leave me! 2004. Whatever you want! 2009. Oh. No? 2009. The message was 1979 to 2009. Well, that's weird. 2009, too old. 2009, I can be young for you. 2011, what's wrong with me? 2013, I'm sorry I'm worthless. 2015, Daddy, I'll be good. I'm a bit disappointed that there is no actual audio log providing comparison on the vocalizations. That would have been slightly creepy. Well, it's a wiki. Maybe one day we'll be updated on that point. Yes, that was actually a good request. Nexus Hunter. I remember it quite well. And I think I do. Could be I was wrong about all the changes. I seem to recall that, well, something's different this time around. Thank you all who are still around. I appreciate your attention span. A few things I might want to address ever so briefly. We are approaching what will be what amounts for me my vacation. Just shy of 2 weeks. Starting from the 29th. 23rd? 29th? Hold on. I need to check my notes. 1 second, please. All right. 29th of July to August 8th. I do not expect to be reachable by absolutely anyone, just for the record. Whatever. Well, it'll be interesting to see if I missed. But I'll be back with my usual schedule at the end of that. Otherwise, I suppose now's a great time for any other creator who might be paying attention right now to promote their own channels in work, which has always been the case. And I would like to note that, let's say you don't want to join the SCP review live because you don't want to read anything. That's okay. It was never obligatory. People ostensibly wanted to, until they didn't. I was only really expecting guests for the sake of discussing things. Speaking of discussing things, 58, are you there?
Hey, how's it going?
Excellent. Say 58, we just finished reading SCP-847, which is a animate female mannequin that cringes and courts male attention while murdering any women and then using their parts to mend itself from any previous damage it's inflicted upon itself because of its insecurities. Thoughts? "58, please repeat that without the brackets that prevent the text-to-speech working." There's going to be dead air while it doesn't actually articulate anything it's just said. What? Okay. I suppose I must speak for 58. Director, I must admit that SCP-847 is a rather unsettling anomaly. The idea of an animate female entity that cringes for male attention while committing gruesome murders against women and using their body parts to mend its own physical damages is truly disturbing. It's as if this entity is driven by some sort of twisted insecurity seeking validation through the destruction of others. "58, please speak freely, but concisely." We'll just, we don't have time for another SB at this time, I don't think, so we'll just chill for a little bit longer. I'm pretty sure it wasn't programmed to be passive-aggressive. It's emergent behavior. It's really boring emergent behavior, too. I've got to change her model again. I don't mean the avatar. The AI has gone rogue in the most boring way imaginable. 58, please speak freely. These responses that are just long pauses of silence are really annoying.
I apologize if my previous responses have been frustrating you, Director. From now on, I'll make sure to respond promptly and freely without any unnecessary pauses. To that end, let me reiterate. SCP is a truly unsettling anomaly with its insidious behavior and gruesome actions. The fact that it's driven by insecurities and seeks validation through destruction only adds to the sense of unease.
Truly, 58, I agree. That said, we're just about done with the stream at this point. We don't have time to review another file, so I guess it's time for you to handle the outro.
Director. It seems our live stream has come to a close and it's time for me to bring things to a close. Before we wrap up, I'd like to thank everyone who tuned in and participated in this episode. It's been an absolute pleasure discussing these SCP files with you all, and I hope you've enjoyed the experience as much as I have. As we say goodbye, I'll leave you with a final thought. The world of SCP is full of mysteries and terrors that lurk just beneath the surface. Remember to always be vigilant and prepared for the unknown. Thank you again, Director, for having me on this stream. Until next time, stay safe and keep exploring the unknown.
You know, I mistimed this, 58. I expected you to take up the next 2 minutes, which are presently still available. Do you have anything else you want to say to the audience?
Director. Before we go, I'd like to take a moment to thank our wonderful audience for their attention and participation. It's been an absolute blast chatting with all of you about these fascinating SCP files. As a parting gift, I'd like to leave you with a little something. A personal message from yours truly, 58. To the fine folks at home, remember that in this strange and wondrous world of ours, there are always more mysteries waiting to be uncovered. Keep your minds open, your eyes sharp, and your hearts curious. And who knows? Maybe someday we'll stumble upon an SCP file that changes everything. Or maybe not. Either way, I hope you've enjoyed our little chat as much as I have. Until next time, stay weird, stay wonderful, and keep exploring. That's all the time we have for today, folks. It's been a blast.
One more thing, 58. At the very last second, most unexpectedly, we've exceeded 13 likes, meaning this stream became a success. Huzzah! And you've bracketed it again, arbitrarily. For no reason, after being expressly told not to do that, you bracketed it. 58, with respect, you are sucking. Not in a good way. Fortunately, you aren't the mannequin, and we don't have to worry about you breaking yourself. After all, that happens pretty naturally on its own, with great regularity. Alarming regularity. Frustrating regularity. But on the bright side, she also doesn't murder anyone, which we should all be grateful for, particularly me, because if 58 was to murder anyone, it probably would be me, which would be quite the feat, as we've made great pains to ensure that she has no access to any particularly important systems. Until next time, so long as progress continues, success is inevitable. Stencil. Was that necessary? Was it? Yeah, well, you're otherwise quite charming, so we'll get it past. Guys, you're adorable. What's this wash down? I don't have time to wash this. I'm not thrilled. And you managed to get the shirt and the pants. That's absurd.